Well, Matt, first, I do appreciate your time. I got to ask you, first of all, you are an Army veteran, commissioned officer. I got to ask you, first of all, what made you want to join the military?
Wow, that's a good question. I haven't been asked that one in a long time. I think it was a sense of challenge, a sense of duty. I had some family members that served in the Navy. My dad served in the Army as well. So I think it was a lot of different things. And then I had a high school buddy a year ahead of me that was in the Corps of Cadets that kind of recruited me into the Corps at Tech, and we kind of went from there, and it just kind of grew. But there were several things, not one thing. But
So, when did you serve?
I served from 1985 till 1998. Primarily Guard and Reserve. I was a member of the Virginia Army National Guard and then the U.S. Army Reserve. Some active duty stints here and there in between, but that was my service. Initially in the simultaneous membership program, while I was a cadet at Tech, and in an enlisted cadet role, and then obviously when I got my commission, went on to serve as commissioned officer.
What was your rank when you got?
Captain.
Captain. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Captain.
Yeah.
My captain, you're
It's a good rank. It's much better rank than a second lieutenant.
We used to call them butterbars.
Yeah.
Yeah, captain has a nice ring
Yeah,
to
it's
it, doesn't it?
captain's a good one.
But if you're I think if you're in the Navy, your captain's like a colonel.
But yeah, absolutely.
So that's
yeah,
good.
yeah.
So talk about just your growing up, your background, like where did you grow up, and your path to getting to Tech and all that.
Yeah, so I grew up. I was born in Kentucky and was in Kentucky for just a year, and then we moved to Wise, Virginia. My dad was with the U.S. Forest Service, and then we moved to Abingdon, and then I think it was when I was in third grade, we moved to Wytheville, and so I claim Wytheville as home. I grew up there. I'm a proud graduate of George Wythe High School in Wytheville, Mighty Maroons, and graduated from George Wythe, and then went to Virginia Tech, and again was a member of the Corps of Cadets at Virginia Tech, and graduated from there in 1986, and continued on.
The Corps of Cadets at Virginia Tech, I mean, you talk about a group that's an elite group and a strong group, and they're well respected. For you personally, what was it like being a part of that organization?
Oh, wow. The Corps experience for me, I would say it was life-changing. It was, and the Corps was different when I was there. It's close to triple the size now that it was when I was there. And there's some structural changes that have happened, I think, for the betterment of the Corps. But the Corps taught you so much: discipline, teamwork, self-reliance, obviously the physical parts, just a lot of different things. Obviously they're prepping, at that time there wasn't the citizen, there was what we call the Corps only cadet, but there wasn't the citizens leadership track that there is now. So the majority of people who were in the Corps were pursuing a commission in either the Army, Navy, Air Force, or Marines while I was there. But my best friends to this day are folks I went through the Corps with. I'll be going to the game tomorrow with a guy who's like a brother to me. So just long-standing relationships, and it prepped us well for those of us who went on to serve in the military. It definitely put you in the right direction.
And then, going from there, obviously you served several years, nearly a decade and a half in the military. But how did you make the transition to go into broadcasting, and when did that take place?
That took place right out of the gate. What I was fortunate enough to be able to do was to have my military career complement my civilian career. So I was an Army Signal Corps officer, and so I went through Army Signal School, which I always say that gave you my engineering side. I was not as great an engineering school as Virginia Tech was is. I was not an engineering major there. I was a communications major. So the two complemented each other, and have my entire career right up until today. Both of them have kind of interlocked, and I was fortunate. The Army wanted me to go in a different branch. They wanted me as an infantry officer and an armor officer, and I submitted the required paperwork to get me a signal slot and got it, and don't regret that one bit. It was the best move for me.
And looking at, looking over your bio, I mean, you've done a lot in broadcast. I'm looking over it right now. I see that, you were the general manager at general manager of Central Broadcast Operations at a Media General station for 14 years. You spent 17 years at the CBS in Richmond, and then moving up through the ranks through Nexstar. Now you're the vice president of Broadcast Hub Services. So how did your path going through all of those get you to where you are today? Because this is a big responsibility. I mean, Nexstar is the largest, TV company in the United States, and being, in your role, it's a big role.
I would say I would credit the people that I've worked with throughout the years, and going back to the military. You learn to lead troops and rely on them. Same thing is true in broadcasting and what we do, and particularly when you manage an operation the size of mine. I can't do it by myself. I have incredible people that work within my team, incredible managers, operators that care what they do, I really see my job as just kind of give them the support they need and the direction when they need it. But I'm fortunate to have, if it were an Army unit, I've got great troops, and they do the heavy lifting, and I just try and get them the resources they need and stay out of their way, quite honestly.
It is an interesting comparison. I think what you mentioned, the fact is, and people say a lot of jobs from a military standpoint can compare to what you're doing on the civilian side. So obviously after your military career, it's almost the same. And you mentioned something big to me. What you did in the military prepared you for where you are today. And maybe if you could just explain, give an understanding to people who probably don't realize that, is that the military gives you so much, so when you get out, you have an opportunity to do even more.
Yeah, I think, anybody who served in the military at any rank and in any branch who will tell you the teamwork, and it's one thing to say teamwork, it's another thing to actually execute teamwork. There are times to follow, there are times to lead. Knowing the difference is a big deal, regardless of what level you're at. Preparedness, making sure you're prepared and understanding what the quote-unquote mission is, and then preparing to execute that mission. I think that translates whether you're in the military or civilian world. Obviously, leadership is a biggie, more so than management. There's a big difference between managing and leading. And if you don't understand the difference, you're going to have difficulty, particularly as a manager. You need to learn how to lead. And sometimes leading means tough decisions, quick decisions. It just depends. Every scenario is good. But there's a difference between managing and leading. And the military will teach you that really, really quick.
It kind of finally, I started working at Nexstar in 2013. And I've been here for 10 years. And to see the growth of this company is just impressive, because back in 2013, it was still respected and still had a lot of stations, but to see, all the acquisitions and to see where it is today, it is just huge. And obviously, they need people like you in your role to be that. When you look at it, does it sometimes get overwhelming, or is it just like, okay, I know we got all this, but I know if I use what I did in the military, I can apply it and do what I am now?
Yeah, does it get overwhelming? Absolutely. You know, I've only been with Nexstar since 2017, and we all know the growth since then with Media Journal, Tribune, you know, so on and so forth. So, yeah, it can be overwhelming, but again, you know, related to the military, you've got to kind of prioritize and figure out how you're going to attack this, or you know, deal with this. And again, it takes a team. You've got to be able to delegate and delegate to the right people and all of those type things. So if you do it as a team, it's manageable. We've done it.
Well, Matt, is there anything else you want to say, or anything I might have missed that you want to get out, or anything like that?
No, other than, you know, thankful veterans' voices. You know, we just talked about this, and appreciate it, and appreciate all the other veterans out there that have served on their time, including yourself. It's appreciated, and you know, it's past, but happy Veterans Day to everybody, and hope everybody has a good holiday.
Well, Matt, I appreciate your time, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you.